What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the show. So we're going to take a look and a listen to Representative Jayapal. She's going to be talking about Build Back Better. Okay, so where are we going from here? So we know the drama that happened the end of last year, where you had Senator Manchin come out and with a bombshell saying that, look, I'm a no when it comes to Build Back Better. So after all these months, he decided not to go with the Build Back Better plan. Will we see a Build Back Better plan in 2022? That is what we're really focused on. And at the end of this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about why this matters to everyone, because I do hear people say, well, it doesn't matter to me. It doesn't have anything for me. Some people are saying, well, there's no stimulus checks in it, so I don't care. Well, there are a lot of reasons why you should care about what's going on in Congress, first of all. And you should also care about the different programs and plans that they're trying to get through when it comes to Build Back Better. And I'm going to talk about specifically one thing that will help everyone in the U.S. I don't care if you are on a fixed income, if you're working, anyone who is receiving health care, this could benefit them. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. But first off, on this channel, we talk about financial news and more. If that sounds like something interesting to you, please subscribe to the channel and hit that little bell notification. That way you'll get notified anytime we put out a video. And like always, if you see my name and a picture of me in the comment section, make sure you see a check mark next to my name. That check mark signifies that it's me. If you do not see that check mark, it's not me. It's someone trying to impersonate me. Now, before we listen to Representative Jayapal, I do want to talk a little bit about the COLA. So for Social Security, that increase, people are receiving their checks. And so this is good. This is good. A lot of people received them on Friday. Some people are saying they're pending for today. And so that is excellent. They were able to get those the COLA increase, the adjustment out a lot faster, a lot sooner than we anticipated. It was going to be January, I think January 12th. So not this Wednesday, but the next Wednesday. But it looks like they started sending them out early. So that is really good news. And please let me know in the comment section if you received your COLA increase. Let us know so I can let other people know. And I did a poll on this topic. And if you look at the poll here, did you receive your cost of living adjustment COLA for Social Security, SSI, SSDI, VA? And so we have 520 people voted on this, and we have 66% said yes, 29% said no, and then 5% say that it's showing pending. So that's what we're looking at when it comes to cost of living. A lot of people already received their increase, and so that is very, very good news. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look and a listen to Representative Jayapal talking about Build Back Better. Here we go.
A voice as mean as that one. Let's talk about Build Back Better. As I said in the intro, Congress comes back, Build Back Better, at least trying to get it reworked into the president's desk is on the agenda. You wrote an op-ed in the Washington Post a week ago today, laying down a marker. I want to have you listen to what Congressman Ro Khanna, also of the Congressional Progressive Caucus of California, had to say when I asked him about the future of Build Back Better. Have a listen.
Do I think it's going to be the bill that we voted out of the House? No. Do I think it's going to be the exact framework that President Biden had? No. I'm a realist. And here's the point. We in the House stand ready to compromise. We want to get something done. So what we need the 50 senators to tell us is, what are you for? And the president and the House will work to getting something done in a compromise that is necessary for the American public.
And Congresswoman Jayapal, what I took from Congressman Khanna's statement there is that we stand ready to compromise, and that the bill, a new Build Back Better, won't look like what we've been talking about for months now. So from your vantage point, what absolutely needs to be in the new version of Build Back Better?
Okay, so first off, that question is not a question that she can answer, right? She can't answer exactly what she wants, like what's a deal breaker when it comes to this proposal here. Because if she does, she's starting negotiations, so she can't do that. She needs to do this behind closed doors. She needs to talk to Senator Manchin. She needs to talk to Senator Sinema and try to figure something out when it comes down to it. So I don't know if you caught this, but the House passed a version. So they passed their version last year. They sent it over to the Senate. The Senate was sitting on it, and then the negotiations were happening between President Biden and Senator Manchin. And then Senator Manchin last minute just said, you know what, I'm just a no. I can't move forward with this. And so that's where we are right now. But the House's version, it was a little bit different than what they were talking about prior to this. So the negotiations that were going on all summer and all winter, that was between President Biden, Senator Sinema, Senator Manchin. That was one version. And then when the House passed their version, it was different. They added things. Okay. And so that was the problem, or at least that's what Senator Manchin is saying was the problem as far as why he couldn't move forward, because they're negotiating one way and then the House puts a different version out. And he just was not for it. So the right thing to do at that point is to negotiate it down in the Senate and then pass it, which that's what we thought was going to happen. But it just didn't go that way because Senator Manchin just pulled out. And I'm thinking Senator Manchin was always a no, and he just was trying to find a reason, a way to get out of this. I don't think he was negotiating in good faith. I think he just didn't want to move forward with this Build Back Better, and he didn't have a reason, and so he just kind of put it off, and then at the very end just said, you know what, I just can't move forward. So we're going to have to see if they can pick up negotiations again. That's going to be the important thing from this point. Let's go ahead and get back.
Well, Jonathan, the thing that I tried to lay out in the op-ed was the process that got us to where we are, which included an agreement from Senators Manchin and Sinema and the president, and that the Progressive Caucus endorsed, what we're calling the framework that the president laid out before he went to COP26. And it had the critical priorities, not as big as we would want, not as many as we would want, but it had the critical priorities of the care economy. That's child care. It's pre-K, universal pre-K, elder care. Those were all things that Senator Manchin agreed to. In addition, housing, he agreed to that.
Now, one thing I want you to focus on is that second thing there, prescription drug reform. I'm going to talk about that at the end of this video.
These are things I've spoken to him about as well, by the way. He also agreed to, the provisions around climate change. Those were already negotiated from what we had originally wanted, but a significant investment in really taking on climate and reducing carbon emissions. That was absolutely critical. He agreed to health care, some pieces of health care to strengthen the ability for people to get health care, particularly important now during Omicron. These were all pieces that he actually agreed to. In my conversations with him as well, he supported. And my belief is that we can still get that done. And so the call now is to do two things. One, work very quickly to actually get that legislation passed. It's urgent, along with voting rights. Those two pieces absolutely are urgent on the legislative calendar. And then the second is, because we don't know how long that piece is going to take, there are executive actions that the president can take today to actually make life better for people and to, let's say, up the ante a little bit to make sure that we do get legislation done, because the other path has to be executive action. So I think we will be rolling out our list of things that we want the president to work on. He began that by saying that he was going to put a pause on student debt, extend that pause beyond the original date. That's good, but we would like him to cancel student debt. We'd like him to take some aggressive actions on climate and a few other things to cut costs for American people.
Okay, so Representative Jayapal, so basically she's saying that now there's two paths. So before they wanted Build Back Better, they wanted it all in one bill. But now what she wants to do is she wants to streamline, or at least it sounds like they want to streamline Build Back Better. So take a lot of these different things out and then have the president sign executive orders for the other stuff that they've taken out. Now, it's going to be interesting. She said that there's going to be a list that she's going to present to the president. It's going to be interesting to see what's on that list. But when it comes down to it, and we talked about this before, executive action or executive orders, it can't be anything that has to do with spending. Okay. And they know, Congress knows this, because Congress knows they carry the purse. They have the money. So when it comes down to it, we're going to see some things. And she gave that example, the whole student loan pause, and even a student loan cancellation. That's something that the president can do. He can cancel student loans because it's not spending. It's not more money being spent. It's just money that's already been spent, and they're trying to recoup the money. And now you can just say, you know what, we're good. You don't have to pay it back, or maybe $10,000 you don't have to pay it back, or however they're going to go about that. And so when we're listening to what Ms. Jayapal is saying, is she's saying, yes, there's going to be two paths, and we're going to have to work out both of them. The reality is, and the issue that I have with what she's saying as far as two paths, really, this is all legislation. Okay. And Congress needs to be able to get together. Democrats need to be able to get together and pass these bills through reconciliation if that's what they have to do. But now it looks like they want to lean more on the president. Okay, the president at this point, executive orders are for certain reasons. And the president at this point is now being pulled into this and saying, OK, look, you need to help us out because we can't get this passed through Congress. So we want you to do some executive actions in lieu of us not being able to pass something. So I don't know. I don't know if I really agree with that. I think that Congress needs to get together and they need to pass this Build Back Better with everything that they want in it and not try to do these executive actions. But like I said, I can't say much right now. I want to see what's on this list. And as soon as that list comes out, I'll make sure to do a video about it. And we'll talk a little bit about what's in there. But we might see a list that really doesn't have much in it, much that will affect the American people. And it might be just kind of one of those things where, yeah, you can do executive action, but it's not really going to change much. Build Back Better, the bill as a whole will make changes for the American people, hopefully in a positive way. But doing these executive actions might not do that. So we'll have to just see what they're going to do.
So that's really what we're calling on the president to do.
Okay, so you said just now that you believe we can still get that done, meaning the framework that you laid out there. But I'm still sitting here thinking, how are you going to get that done when the guy you were negotiating with and who you say agreed to all these things said that he, quote, just can't?
Well, he said he just can't do the bill that we passed out of the House, which look, you know how I feel about this. I've told Senator Manchin directly. As somebody, I certainly respect him, and he represents a state where not a lot of Democrats win. And so I respect that he has a very different view of this. But he said he couldn't do the bill that we passed through the House. And as you remember, we added some things that were not in the framework. And so what we hope now, and what I know the president is...
And just to interrupt, I mean, that's the problem. If you're negotiating and you have a framework and then you go and then the House changes some things and then passes something that's different than what was in the framework, that's a problem. And if I'm a person and I'm negotiating with one person, just like if I go in and I want to buy a car and they give me the framework, they give me the price, and then it comes back and it's even more because they've added these extra things that I didn't ask for. Yeah, I'm going to be upset. And so if you have a framework, stick with that framework. And that's not what the House did. They went ahead with their own version. And now we're looking at a situation where, yes, it was a failure. Last year, that was a failure. That should have been Build Back Better should have been passed. But if they stuck with the framework, it probably would have. Well, I won't say it probably would have, because we don't know about Senator Manchin. Like I said, I think he might have been just looking for an excuse. But that was an excuse. They gave him one because they had a framework they negotiated and they changed the framework and added some extra things to it.
Working on with Senator Manchin is to go back to the original framework that he committed to. There were only a few things, that maybe 10% of the bill, that was not what he committed to. And I think that it was unfortunate that he, announced on national television that he was essentially killing the bill, because there was a little bit that he hadn't agreed to. But let's go back to the table. Let's get this done. It is too important for us, particularly as Omicron surges. And we have these clouds over us, Jonathan, the clouds of the economic uncertainty because of COVID, and of course, the enormous cloud of our democracy that is in front of us. Joe Biden, Democrats need to succeed in helping Americans to see that we can get stuff done, and that we are going to make their lives better, and that we are going to protect our democracy. That is the most important thing.
Congresswoman, have you spoken to Senator Manchin since he blew things up?
I spoke to him the day after.
Since he blew things up. Wow.
After his conversation on Fox News, he called me and we spoke then. I've not spoken to him since that time, but I am always happy to speak to him and think about how we get it back to that original framework. Jonathan, I do have to say that as much as, we are pushing hard on these fronts and we haven't yet reached the finish line, I want to remind people that under President Biden and with the democratically controlled House and Senate, we have, this time last year, we had over 800,000 unemployment claims. That has declined by 75%, and we've created 6 million new jobs in just 1 year under President Biden. And COVID is nowhere near where it was in terms of people being vaccinated, people wearing masks. And of course, we have the surge. We've got to take care of it. But I don't want people to forget how much we've done with the American Rescue Plan and with President Biden's leadership. That is really important. Now we've got to cross the finish line on these other pieces.
Yes, you're only as good as the last bill that you passed. So people are going to forget about all that stuff that happened last year, the stimulus package, a $1.9 trillion stimulus package with the stimulus checks and all that. People are going to forget about that. The first infrastructure bill, you're only as good as that last bill that you passed. And this is an election year. This is a midterm election. So it's going to be very, very important that they do something because if they can't, then we're definitely going to be looking at a situation where Republicans will take the House and they will take the Senate.
One more question real quickly, Congresswoman, and that is this. If a Build Back Better bill comes out of the Senate that just has child tax credit, universal pre-K, these are fully funded, not partially funded, but fully funded, and say elder care, those three things, only those three things fully funded, would that be acceptable?
Well, let's not go down that line yet, because as I said, these other pieces we're also committed to. So let's figure out what of those things can get done. But Jonathan, let's also remember that universal pre-K, elder care, child tax credit, each one of these things on their own is also significant. But I'm not quite ready to negotiate with ourselves. I want to have a person that we're negotiating with to get it over the finish line. Otherwise, it makes no sense.
Okay, so that was Representative Jayapal at the very end there. Yet these reporters always ask these questions, and they know that they can't say anything. They know they can't negotiate without. I mean, she's negotiating with who? No one. And so if she puts this stuff out there, then guess what? Senator Manchin now he has more leverage where he says, okay, well, I can do this or I can do that. So they're not going to negotiate. But reporters always ask that question. It's just it baffles me that they even ask these questions. But I guess maybe the politicians will slip up and then they'll have a soundbite that they can play over and over again on the media. But when it comes down to it, when we're looking at this Build Back Better plan, they need to do something. When we're looking at the voting rights bill, they need to do something because the American people, they're going to remember the last thing that happened. They're not going to remember the stuff that happened all of last year. Now, I want to talk a little bit about prescription drug reform. Okay, so this is one of those things where this can help everyone. And we look at different things when it comes to Medicare is a good example of this. Okay, so Medicare, we see COLA checks are starting to come out, and people they're happy when it comes to COLA, Social Security, people on fixed income, they're starting to receive their checks, they're happy, but they're also upset because Medicare, the premiums have gone up. And so when we're looking at this, and it's not just Medicare, healthcare premiums go up. And the reality is they're going up because prescription drugs are going up. The prices are going up. And it's not just prescription drugs, but I'm just saying when it comes down to it, that's one part that definitely needs to be reformed. And that can help every American. Anyone who's receiving healthcare, you're going to benefit from that because those premiums aren't going to go as high, or they might even, they probably won't drop. Let's face it. The healthcare system that we have right now is just not acceptable. And you have people making millions and billions of dollars when it comes to healthcare, okay, because they're overcharging us. Let's face it, we're getting overcharged. Prescription medication, we're getting overcharged. And it shouldn't be that way, but that is the way it is. And I talk about this a lot because I travel a lot, and I do see the same medication in other countries a lot less than what we're paying for it in the U.S. And the only reason that we're paying for it in the U.S., we're paying more in the U.S., is because we can afford to pay more. So until we get to the point where we start reforming this whole system when it comes to healthcare, we're going to be paying a lot. And Medicare premiums are going to continue to go up. And so it kind of defeats the purpose where if you have a COLA that's 5.9% and then Medicare goes up even higher, higher percentage. And so then that puts you in a situation where, yeah, COLA went up, but guess what? Medicare went up too. So I'm really not making out on this, especially when we're looking at COLA at 5.9% increase. And then we're looking at inflation at 6.2%. So you're still not ahead of the game when it comes down to it. And then you throw Medicare on top of that, and now you're underwater. And so we're looking at a situation right now. We're looking at the prescription medication reform. And this is very, very important for everyone. Every single American who's receiving health care, this is crucial. And so it is in Build Back Better. Let's see if it stays in Build Back Better, and let's hope that they can move forward with something when it comes to this whole prescription medication reform. And I'm telling you, this is one of those things. If we can get this done, then it's going to help us. It's going to reduce the cost of prescription drugs. And then we need to really look at our healthcare system and revamp it in such a way that it is more affordable for everyone. Because if it's more affordable for everyone, then that means you have more money in your pocket to go spend on other things. And so that's all I'm going to say when it comes to prescription medication reform. But I want to know what you guys think. Do you think it needs to be reformed? Let me know down below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe for more, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.